And here we go. Hello, everybody. Long time no see, internet friends. How is everybody? How we all doing out there? Tort welcomes his master back to the land of the living. Yeah, that might be what happened. Whoa! I know that. I know. I feel like I've aged. I've aged like 1,000 years in a month. It's been a month. Hey, Silas, welcome in. Welcome in. It's been a month, I think, since I streamed last, right? Or just shy of that. We streamed right before I went to New Mexico. So it has been a minute. It's been a hot minute. But yeah. Yeah, if you can't tell from the title, it's going to be shorter today. I am suffering absolutely terrible insomnia, so I am not sleeping. I guess that's a thing that happens now when I'm done being sick. So I'm still a little haggard. So we'll probably only do a few sprints, kind of hang out for a little bit of it, but we'll try to get some stuff done. I have managed not to. Good, Cryptid. Yes. Anybody here dealing with chronic and/or sudden acute medical issues, do not hurt yourself, and hopefully you take it all right. I have managed not to. Yeah, I think I might turn into a puddle, but that's fine. Me too, Cryptid. Me too. See, it's like I think Twilight. I would be. Oh, that's right. Yes, I'm excited for this. Ghostly, you will be stealing my time. All right. And the stream's time. It sounds like, but let's see here. Just take a bowl, put honey, salt, and sugar, and splashes, and just rub it on your forehead before bed. It'll knock you out. I have never heard of that, Silas. That is great. That is great. I might do that. You know what? Yeah. I need something that's gonna make me sleep, or it's not even just make me go to sleep. It keeps me asleep. Because the problem I have is that I usually only can fall asleep for about 2 or 3 hours, sometimes 4 if I'm lucky, and then I wake up wide awake, and that is the problem. Okay. Happy Groundhog Day about. Yes, welcome back. Yes, Princess is here. She's in my lap. I'm sure she will shout. For my birthday, I wrote you a synopsis. I'm very excited for this. Ghostly finally watched Dune Part 1 and Part 2 and wrote a synopsis for them, which I can only imagine what a Ghostly synopsis is going to be for Dune. All right, let's see here. 5 straight hours. It is 5 straight. I mean, I watched it on my birthday. All for you. Good. So the first half, I should have just renamed the stream Twilight Talks About Dune for 2.5 hours. Because we all know for a fact that it's not going to end with just Ghostly's rant on Dune, that you're going to have to get my commentary on it. So I apologize, obviously, if everybody is like, the last thing I want to hear is a white bro on the internet talk about Dune a bunch. I feel you. And that is totally fine. You should absolutely duck out. 9 pages. This is your fault. I'm very excited. I do like that the font you picked too is very like, what is that? The papyrus? You're like going for the Sanskrit, like the sand vibes. I appreciate that. It's a good little detail. This is your fault. It helps, I think, maybe just a placebo, but I guess then it works because I do not because it does not work, or maybe it does. I don't know. Head hurts. Silas, don't stress it. Don't overthink it. If it works, it works. That is your mother's potion. All right. So we'll start with this. I know Ghostly has been very patient. Ghostly has been waiting for 3 weeks. Good lord, 3 weeks. It has been eating me. Okay, okay. All right. All right. So for everyone who's hanging out, I will be reading Ghostly's synopsis of Dune um, before we dip into anything. So, uh, really, that's the real reason why I had to stream today instead of just canceling once again to go like sleep and try not to feel terrible. Is I had to read Dune. Uh, so we will read Dune. We'll see if we get a writing sprint in, and then I'm gonna go fall asleep. I'm gonna go lay down on the couch and try not to feel terrible. Let's see. Both patient is one for yeah. I was like, Cryptid has been dealing with it the whole time in the club hangouts is what I've been hearing, which is very cute. It is a blessing. Okay, all right, all right. I'm gonna read this. We'll see how long. To be fair, we'll see how long my voice can hold out for. So, I should be good, but we will see. All right, all right. Let us read Ghostly recounting Dune. Dune. The summary by yours truly, the Ghostly and Graves. Dune Part 1, enter Sand Jesus. You're using all of our language. You did not. You could do it another day, you Muppet Man. I know. I was very excited hearing about it, so I feel like I have to. All right, Dune Part 1 enters Sand Jesus. Okay, so in a galaxy far, far away, there's sand. That's true. Also, to be fair, you can also see where George Lucas got the idea of Tatooine. 100%, he got it from Dune. So let's see here. Okay. 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 I was like, you don't have to. Yeah, that's right. I don't have to. Okay. And this Duke guy, we call it, okay, a whole planet of it, we call it Sand World. Okay. Okay. Arrakis. Okay. Sand World. And this Duke guy, Oscar Isaac, he is put in charge of Sand World by Galaxy President. Because Sand World isn't like other girls, it's got paprika. Yeah, it's literally makes space travel possible. It's so that navigators can navigate clear pathways to through the galaxy. Without it, spaceships would be crashing into objects. And paprika is what paprika is what makes spaceships go zoom. That's true. So paprika equals gas. So paprika equals gas. You tracking good? It's not technically gas. It's actually very funny that you say that though, Ghostly, because I think there was no. Was it David Lynch's adaptation? No, David Lynch did a different thing. David Lynch did, but no, it is not actually gas. It allows them to see. Ghostly. Yeah, it's so they can navigate. It doesn't actually power the ships. It's so they can navigate. I'm such a nerd. Yeah, I'm definitely a nerd about Dune. But yes, it's in a way you could consider it gas. In terms of like the economic metaphor, it is gas. It's oil. The actually is crazy. Yeah, I just actually. I actually you about Doom. Is anyone shocked by that? To be fair, okay. I mean the metaphor is correct. The metaphor is on point. Sandworld used to be ruled by the bad guys, who we will simply call the bad guys. Yeah, that makes sense. Dude, you cannot actually the script. It's fair. What is AWFU? Awful? Is that what you meant? Is awful? Okay, you cannot actually the script. It's awful. Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Okay, yeah, it's awful. It's awful. I apologize, Ghost. I apologize for actuallying the script. Let's see here. Sandworld, who used to be ruled by the bad guys. Yeah, okay. The bad guys, simply called the bad guys. The bad guys were run off Sand Planet. I don't remember why. Not important. Yes. Yes. They were not run. Yeah. Yeah. We'll see if that comes around. It is very important why they get run off Sand Planet, and they don't get run off. They just get told to go away. All right, so Oscar Isaac has a son named Paul, but we will be referring to him as Baby Boy for the time being, because that's what he is right now. He is a baby boy, and Baby Boy does not want to be Sand Duke. And his dad was all like, "I get it. Just think about it, see what happens. But even if not, I still love you, kiddo, because you're my son. That's all that matters to me." It's true. Yeah. Leto was a real boy. Leto was a real boy. He was a solid father. He was a solid father, that's for sure. That was Oscar Isaac's fatal mistake, but we'll get into that later. This is gonna take us longer than it took Ghostly to write it. Yeah, sorry. This is gonna take a sec. Baby Boy's mom is a crazy ass witch priestess, evil nun ho. What? Who has a British accent when literally no one else has a British accent. Make it make sense. She sucks. Oh my god. Okay. All right. She sucks will be referring to as mommy issue. Wow. The fact that Ghostly called out Jessica being evil or sucking is prescient, I might say. Anywho, she is a terrible mother and makes her son see evil nun mother superior. Yeah. The head of the Bene Gesserit. Who makes Baby Boy put his hand in the pain box. Yep. I don't know why, really. The amount of hatred I have for that woman is for Lady Jessica, really. Oh, wait, Lady Jessica or the Mother Superior? Well, I mean, Lady Jessica, she becomes the Mother Superior, but the mom? Oh, interesting. Okay, interesting. You're really coming down hard on the whole Bene Gesserit. Yeah, both beaches, the Bene Gesserits. Yeah, I mean they are functionally doing space eugenics. To be fair, that is they are doing like a general 10,000 year long breeding program. So it is pretty messed up. To be fair. Let's see here. I don't know why really Baby Boy's been having weird dreams about the future and Zendaya. Can we blame him? And Evil Number is not psyched about it. Yeah. Anywho, Baby Boy knows his mom is a freak and hasn't renewed her human decency subscription, but still listens to her anyway because he has mommy issues. Yeah. Well, it's because, yeah. Gross, you mean gross. Yeah. You know, she just really. It's interesting that I don't know how much of it comes across in the movie because in the books she was supposed to have a daughter, with Leto to then marry to Fade Rotha, the Harkonnen son, to then create the Christoph Haderach, who is sort of like the super super thing, but but anyway, so she, because of her love for Leto, she falls in love with Leto, and because she fell in love with Leto and Leto wanted a son, she gave Leto a son. So that's why that's why. And now because that totally screwed up an entire series of bloodlines in the Bene Gesserit breeding program, they essentially were like, well, you might have created the Christoph Haderach already, we don't know, just because it's your child, but you kind of messed that up, and that was like 10,000 years of work, and now we don't know what, and so that's why she was checking him with the box and all that kind of stuff, was to see essentially if he can control his power. If he runs from pain, the animal trapped in a box, it'll gnaw off its own leg, that whole thing. Essentially to see if he has any sense of control. Because if you lack control, if essentially you're like the Baron Harkonnen, then you or not Baron Harkonnen, sorry, the other nephew, the very blunt, violent one, who I can't believe I forgot his name. But if you're more like him, then you would have too much power and have to die. So love that for them. Just gonna mess it. Yeah, I love that. Just gonna mess up your 10,000 year bloodline there. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's kind of a thing about Dune, is it's all plans within plans and long power structures and systems that's kind of, in my opinion, that's what makes Dune interesting, is because it shows people being, it shows a lack of, what I'm gonna go ahead and say, a lack of free will when systems of power are concerned, and it essentially forces people to act in ways that either preserve the system, or if they upend the system, end up preserving the system anyway by upending it. Sorry. Anyway, my bad. I know. I feel bad. We're gonna chase everybody who wants to get any work done, but it's okay. It's a chill Saturday stream. It's first stream back, and I've been looking forward to this. We should have known, Ghostly. I know you really just created an excuse for me to talk about Dune forever. So I don't know. I don't know why anyone would want this. Why does anybody want this? Okay. Let's see. Okay, so yeah. Baby Boy's been having weird dreams about the future and Zendaya. Can we blame him? That's true. Evil nun Mother Superior's not psyched about it. Yep. Anywho, Baby Boy knows his mom is a freak and hasn't renewed her human form decency subscription. Yep, mommy issues. Anywho. They go to Sandworld. Yep. Now Sandworld has an indigenous people known as the Sand People. Goes to the Sand People. The Sand People are from Star Wars. That's the Tusken Raiders, the Sand People. God. They're the Fremen. They're the Fremen. Twilight, you could do whatever. Twilight, you could do whatever you want. Have fun. The world is your stage. I couldn't remember their names. Leave me alone. The Sand People. It's just so funny because it's like literally Star Wars. Even though Star Wars is literally doing its own play, the original Star Wars is doing its own play on Dune. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, Ghostly. You're doing fine. Yeah, there's no shame here. Okay. Oh boy. All right. Let's see here. Okay, yeah. The Sand People do not appreciate the colonization. Valid. Yeah, that's true. The bad guys who inhabited before Oscar Isaac and fam tried to exterminate them a little bit, I think. Or I made that up. No, you're right. You're right. They're constantly fighting the Fremen. Regardless, Sand People be hiding out in the sand. Yep, in the deep desert. I haven't watched Star Wars either, so that was an accident. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. I want to see what happens to Ghostly when Ghostly watches. If you watch the original Star Wars after having seen Dune, because like most people, more people definitely saw Star Wars before they ever read Dune. I mean, Dune was popular, obviously, and I'm sure there was a lot of carry. But I'd be very interested to see. That's such a rare thing to have somebody who hasn't seen the original Star Wars. And then watch it after, like, Dune, which was very clearly something Lucas was pulling from. I mean, Lucas was pulling from a lot of things. Like, obviously, like, he's pulling from, like, samurai movies from the 60s, like Kurosawa and Westerns. But like, a lot of it is coming from Dune. Anyway, all right, let's see. Oscar Isaac and Vam tried to... Yeah. Okay. Sand People. I like... All right, breeze through this bit. Yeah, I have a feeling this is gonna... Yeah, this is the some of the political stuff, too. Baby Boy doing baby boy things. Okay, Oscar Isaac realizes the expectations that were placed on him were far beyond the capacity of what he was presented with. Baby Boy has more visions. Baby Boy has an assassination attempt, but he is just that good and doesn't die. Shocking, I know. Yep, all the main character energy. Yep, that's true. Then the big bad stuff goes down. In the middle of the night, oh wow, we're already jumping straight to, yep, we're yeah. In the middle of the night, the bad guys infiltrate the Sand World and lead on a full-on pillage massacre. Yep, that's true. The Atreides will die in the dark. In this, Baby Boy and Mommy issues are kidnapped. Jesus. And Oscar Isaac is naked for some reason. No one complained about that, though. I mean, he's sleeping naked. No one complained about that. That's funny. This is Dune 1 and Dune 2, man. I had to keep it quick. That's true. Anyway, Oscar Isaac breathes nerve gas from a fake tooth. Yep. Yeah, and attempts to take out the big bad guy. He's the king of the bad guys, but is he the king of the bad guys? Oh. The Baron Harkonnen. And in the process, Oscar Isaac dies, and the world cried. It's true. It's very sad. Although goes out like a boss too, and I'm gonna do another weird nerve die here. Dr. Yue, who's the one who betrays Leto and them, he's the one who tries to who pretty much betrays them and lets the Harkonnens get away with their invasion, in order to essentially try to save his wife. The princess is on a pillow behind you, and she's never looked so regal. Is she? Oh, you're on the pillow. Oh, she's by the window. But yeah, so anyway, the reason why what's interesting, it's not really gone into in the movie, but it's really fascinating in the book because he's actually programmed to be 100% like loyal. And so there's this weird thing where in the book, it's like mind blowing that he like loved his wife so much that he was able to overcome Imperial programming to then betray Leto. Like it wasn't a thing that was done by the Harkonnens. It was like he did it willingly to try to save his wife. And I always thought that was like it's something that's like way too in the weeds for like a movie to ever do, unless you make the movie about that, because it goes into like weird like programming and like the weird like ways that they live without computers in the Dune world, and you just too much detail to get into. But I always thought that was a really tragic and interesting thing in the original book. Okay. Let's see. Also, the tooth thing is badass. Like, I always thought that was a badass way to go. Oh, wow. Wife guy level 9,000. Yeah, literally. Complete, like, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's why even though he betrays Leto, he puts the tooth in to kill the person they both hate, which is the Baron Harkonnen. He's like, bite down on this tooth and, you'll die, but you'll poison and hopefully kill the Baron Harkonnen as well. Yeah, great part in the book, and the movie does it justice. A very, very cool moment in the movie. Let's see. Oh no, did my mouse die? Oh my god. Uh-oh, that could be a problem. Wait, there we go. All right. And Oscar Isaac dies, and we'll cry, and that's what you get for being a good father in the first 30 minutes of a movie, man. Exactly, true. Big bad guy does not die, FYI. That is true. Does not die. Meanwhile, baby boy and Mommy Dad manage to escape out in the desert, leaving them alone. Mommy Issues only further cements herself as just the absolute worst. Wow. I am thoroughly fascinated by how much Ghostly really hated Lady Jessica at the beginning of this. And baby boy deserves none of this. Oh, that is... Wow. All right. FYI, I like this. FYI. We figure out that the galaxy president is actually behind it all. Yes, the Emperor Shedem IV is behind it. And because he was intimidated, he was threatened and intimidated by Oscar Isaac. Yep. Christopher Walken just wished he could be Oscar Isaac. Yep. The Atreides voice is rising. Why, she is mean to the baby boy? He deserved none of this? It's true. He did deserve none of it. But that's how systems work, Ghostly. That's part of the thesis of the story, is systems. Systems are what matters. Systems are what force us into play. They deprive of us our humanity. They create hierarchy and ways to reinforce their own beliefs, their own systems, their rigid rules, and then perpetuate themselves at the expense of being a human. That's what makes Dune fascinating. Ghostly will carry that with her all time. Oh, that's true. Yeah, Ghostly. Not only that, the beginning. Yeah, I was like, if you hate Lady Jessica already, you're really gonna hate her after too. No, I was there for baby boy. Screw the system. I cared about nothing else. I mean, it's kind of the point. That's what makes Paul Atreides such a great character, because you really do feel for the kid. You feel for the kid. You feel for the kid as he becomes a literal monster. Yeah, I mean, Cryptid, yeah, Anakin's story in Star Wars is just him trying to do Paul Atreides. It's same thing. Literally the same story. Almost to a T. But actually, you know what? Depending, I don't want to spoil Dune Messiah for people because I also have no idea how he's going to handle elements of Dune Messiah, but like some of the like died of a broken heart stuff ain't that's some of that Anakin stuff. That's you could argue that's from Dune as well. Um and if we put yeah, okay, here we go. So let's see here. And we put our tinfoil hats on. Even more than even more than that, it's a conniving scheme of the evil nuns that orchestrate it all. Women, am I right? So, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I forgot that. Yeah, it's because they were becoming obstinate that they did tell the emperor to destroy the Atreides line to sacrifice an entire bloodline. Yeah, that is different than the book. I do not recall them. No, maybe not. No, I think no. You know what? I think they did. I think they did intend, but they did it. They did it initially because Jessica had Paul. It wasn't because of Leto. They were concerned about Leto, but it was because Jessica had Paul that they had to destroy the Atreides line anyway. But they're polar. Anakin hates sand. That is true. Anakin hates sand. Yeah, yeah. They're polar. I mean, uh, I had that line, man. That line. The sand line. Oh god, I'm like having flashbacks to Naboo now. Jesus. Okay. Okay. Back on point. Stay focused. Stay focused, everybody. Okay. Okay, yeah. They almost get eaten by a sandworm. They walk and vibe out for a while. Yeah, okay. And then eventually sand people find them. Yeah, the Fremen find them. Obviously, sand people do not trust these people, so while they reflect the sun, oh god, okay, I got you. Just trust these people so white they reflect the sun. I got you. Okay, I see what you're saying. As the sand people shouldn't. That's true. That's true. Yeah, white colonizers. You can't trust them. Can't trust them. They try to fight them. They have a little scuffle. One sand guy says, we'll call him Malachi. He looks like Malachi is like, okay, respect. You fight pretty fly for a white guy. Oh, that's pretty great, Ghostly. That's pretty great. You can come back and peeps. You can come back and the peep in charge can figure out what to do with you, homie. And this other sand guy, Janice. Hey, you remember Janice's name, or Jamis? You remember his name. He was not about this. So there's a duel between Baby Boy and Jamis. And frankly, I'm surprised Baby Boy managed to murk this guy, but he did. He does. He does. Because it's a girl's name. I thought it was funny. Yeah, it's because he sees different futures. He sees, that's the whole thing with him. He can see different futures, so he has to figure out how to do that. And this, my dear friends, is the first turning point. Hey, first turning point for our Baby Boy, because this is the first time he has ever killed anybody. See, this is why everyone got so mad when they found out that he ended the first movie here and not at the time jump in the books. And I was like, no, the duel in the desert is the perfect halfway point because it mirrors the way the actual story ends. I'm glad you picked up on that, Ghostly. I feel validated in my defense of Denny's decision to break the movie up the way that he broke the movie up, because I do think the duel in the desert is one of the most important parts of the story. All right. Let's see. Kill the waters are starting to get a bit murkier, but Ghostly deems at this point Paul is still a baby boy. The sand people start to lead them to the secret sand hideout. Yep. To the siege. And that's the end of Dune Part 1. Enter Sand Jesus. Now we get into Dune Part 2, Worm Kool-Aid Road. Oh, I love it. It's very funny. All right. So Baby Boy and Mommy Issues go to Sand People HQ. Yeah. People are not stoked about this, but the Sand People will be like, "Yo, our witch priestess, evil nun, Sand Mother is dying. We need a new one." Yeah, no, you did. Yeah, yeah, you got it. The Mad Max reference was a stretch, but it's there. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Fury Road, Worm, Kool-Aid Road. Okay, okay. Oh, I see. Okay. I did not get that initially, but that tracks. Okay. I think, yeah, I got it. It works. It works. It works. Worm, Kool-Aid Road. Okay. Let's see. Okay. But the thing about being a witch, priestess, evil nun, sand mother of great importance is you gotta drink the worm Kool-Aid. You gotta drink the blood of Shah-Hulud. Because that stuff is Jonestown. It's probably gonna kill you, but maybe not if you're a chick, but still maybe sketchy, right? That is true. That is true. Um, Anywho, she drinks the worm Kool Aid, and this is mommy issues turning point. Yeah, I mean, she goes full send crazy hoe, but how much of that is her, and how much of that is also the child? Because that is the interesting part of that. By the way, the description of that in the book is fucking nuts because it's written from the fetus's point of view. So it's written from the fetus's point of view as it gets all the memories of all the mothers before it even knows what like being alive means, and it is a mind trip. Also introducing one of the most tragic characters of all of the Dune novels. Alia is like one of the saddest characters, and in Children of Dune, which is the third book, is like one of the has like one of the best like vision like one of the best like science fiction metaphors for like generational trauma I have ever seen. Because in that book she actually gets possessed by the memory of her ancestor of the Baron Harkonnen, and so it actually becomes a really good way to like explore the idea of generational trauma. It's really great, but definitely one of the most interesting and tragic characters. Is Doom why we have pro-choice problem? I mean, they literally are like, you don't do that, but maybe, maybe. Uh, Also in the book, Alia is born before the end of it. In the movie, they keep it to where she's still pregnant with her, but in the book, it's Alia's born and like walking around the siege being like a really creepy 3-year-old. Um, let's see here. Yeah, she goes full send crazy hoe like Karen levels of Karen wanted to help orchestrate a mass genocide. I mean, yeah, literally. She gets face tats and everything. It's not a good look. Oh man, I actually love her design. Her design in the Dune movie, I adore. I love the outfits they give the Reverend Mothers, man. It's so cool. Oh, and BT Dubs, she's prego. Yes, by the way, she prego. Uh, I hate everything about that woman. She's got an evil little nun baby in the oven. She had it in the last movie too. It just wasn't super relevant. The worm Kool-Aid does some weird stuff to that baby, man. Like telepathically communicating to her mother in full sense is kind of weird. It's creepy. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I actually, in David Lynch's Dune in the '80s, he does have her, because one of the weird things about Alia is that Alia is supposed to be like, she ages really fast. So even though she's like 6 months old, she looks like a 4-year-old child or whatever. So she like matures into like a normal person really quickly, and that's because of the worm stuff. Um, but she but like she's like walking around just being super creepy, and even like in the books Lady Jessica's like, that kid like is really freaking me out. Like everyone's kind of scared of her, so I thought it was a really smart choice in the movie, because having like a little weird kid walking around being creepy can be kind of silly, doesn't always work. So it was a smart decision to just have it be like, nope, we're just gonna get rid of the 3-year time jump, and we're just gonna have it be a creepy baby in the oven. I think it works. Um, Big plot point. Yes, this is what's so interesting. Mommy Issues thinks her son is Sand Jesus, and he is the chosen one who is meant to do something. I don't know. Yeah. So she thinks that he's the Kristoff Haderach, that he is what has been, that the Bene Gesserit have been trying to breed, which is like a superhuman, essentially like a superhuman computer, essentially. Um, that's what she does. She thinks that, and she thinks that the propaganda, the religious propaganda used to control the Fremen, that the Bene Gesserit have been cultivating for hundreds or thousands of years. She starts to like believe the lie, even though she knows it's propaganda. She starts to actually believe that it's true, and that it wasn't just manufactured by the Bene Gesserit, that it was in fact an actual prophecy about her son. So it actually goes, like, one of the cool things about this, how people can know something even if they fabricated it themselves, begin to believe their own fabrication as a form of like mythologizing. Um, and one of the interesting things about its critique on particularly like how religion is used to control broader populations. Um, Baby Boy, for the most part, is like, that's wild. Why do you say stuff like that? Yep, yep. But he does change his tune a little as he decides that if he can gain the trust of the Sand People and get them on his side, that he can lead them to seek vengeance against the bad guys. Yep, that's true. That is true. But notice that he changes his mind about that. Anywho, Baby Boy has found Zendaya and is smitten. No one blames him. Naturally, that is what you do. Naturally, slowly he gains the trust of the Sand People and becomes one of them. Yep, yep. He becomes a fighter. He wants to learn their ways, and I do think it is rather genuine. It is. He falls in he falls in love with the way of the Fremen. He does have ulterior motives, but those ulterior motives would also benefit the Sand People, as getting rid of the bad guys, they would get their planet back. Exactly. At this point, the waters are getting pretty murky for how much Baby Boy is in Baby Boy. He's pushing it. He also had to man up, being in the desert and learning to be a sand person. So we will no longer call him Baby Boy, but simply Paul, as he has lost his title as the Baby Boy. Okay, we've moved on to just Paul now. All right. Paul proves himself time and time again and becomes a sand person. Yes, he becomes one of the Fremen. Um, he starts off he becomes a Fedaykin, which is a fighter, and then becomes a Fremen, in theory. Um, he rides a worm. Yep, that's the final rite of passage, is that he calls a worm and rides a worm and kills bad guys and everything. Yep. Over time, more and more people are starting to think, but what if he is Sand Jesus, though? That's it. Yeah. Because of the Bene Gesserit religious propaganda that everyone said a boy and a mother would show up and that they would know their ways and all that kind of stuff. It's all been laid there so that they can fit into the prophecy. Because they were always trying to breed the first male child who could do what the Bene Gesserit do. So they always knew it would be a mother and a son. So the framework of the cult is arising, but Paul is denying that he's Sand Jesus. Yep. In retrospect, that might have been sneaky reverse psychology. Like, no, I'm not totally Sand Jesus, and everybody else being like, that's totally what a humble Sand Jesus would say. I mean, they literally do. They literally do the Life of Brian scene, where he goes, where Stilgar is like, I mean, that scene is straight out of Monty Python's The Life of Brian, where he says, what does he say? It's after his mother drinks the poison, and he says she's been trained to do that. Like, I am not, like, he literally says, I'm not your, like, that's a Bene Gesserit like poison transmutation. She's been trained to do that. He says, I'm not the Mahdi. I'm not the Mahdi. And then Stilgar says, like, why would he tell us that he's the Mahdi when in fact he's actually, like, him being humble about it is why he's the Mahdi. Yeah. Which is literally the Life of Brian joke. If you ever seen Monty Python in The Life of Brian, it's when he throws the shoe in the gourd. He says, like, literally, they're just like, only the true Messiah would say that he's not the Messiah. Fine, I am the Messiah. He is the Messiah. Well, what hope do I have then? Yeah. So it's literally that sequence. Anyway, the next bit is kind of fuzzy. Paul keeps having visions of mass destruction vibes, and him and Zendaya are like official now, but she still don't buy the whole sand Jesus thing. Yep, yep. Um, Mommy Issues is all like, Paul, you got to drink the worm Kool-Aid so you can open your true sight and become worm Jesus. Yeah, that's what she said. Yeah, yeah. Oh, and that amazing, we'll be waiting in the South, all of us. It's such a great moment, and then she just like waddles away. Oh, it's such a good scene. Anyway, uh, let's see. And for a second, Paul is like, "Girl, that's whack." But for then reasons I still do not understand, Twilight, I need you to explain this to me. I'm upset about it. Paul just decides, you know what, maybe I do want to be Sand Jesus. So he goes and frickin' drinks the worm Kool-Aid. Yeah, that's what he does. Which, shall I remind you, is like the common cold... common is like the common cold to men, a swift death. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. And yeah, Paul pretty much dies there. It's the tears of Zendaya, the ultimate cost, really. The ultimate cost that revive him, which was a mistake. At this point, at the tripping point of my, this is the tipping point, my friends, dare I say the sticking point, or sticking point. From this point on, Paul is a dick, and we don't like him. Do not drink the worm Kool-Aid, it turns you into Space Hitler, but I'm getting ahead of myself. That's, yeah, I mean... Yeah, kind of. Well, it wouldn't turn you into Space Hitler because it would kill you. It's just Paul, unfortunately, lives in this case. Anyway, Zendaya does perhaps the truest justice of all in all of Dune. The bitch slaps him before walking away like a true badass she is. Yeah, it's a great scene. Meanwhile, big bad guy has put his nephew in charge of Sandworld. Yeah, Fade Rotha. That being albino skinhead Austin Butler, we will call Megamind. What? This dude is a real freak, like a freak, and not in a groovy way. It's true, yeah, he's a sick bastard. Anywho, he finds one of the Sand People bases, demolishes it, kills a bunch of people. Megamind thinks he's killed them all, but nay. There are so many Sand People. Yes, there are. The rest of the Sand People all have the pow to figure out they're gonna do. Yep. And it's with all the important Sand People. You know. Yes, yeah, that's the big convergence in the South. Well, this asshole decides to infiltrate the special circuit without the talking stick because he's the worst now. Well, it's actually interesting. He's doing a thing. He's doing a real religious thing here. So even though the culture of the Fremen seems very much inspired by various like Arabic traditions and like primarily forms of Islam or even pre-Islam tribal religions that originated in that part of the world, what he's doing here is very specifically a Christian allegory. What he's doing here is very specifically Jesus entering the temple. Because the whole thing is that priests were only allowed to speak in the temple. And that's the whole thing. Like, Jesus starts flipping tables and walks in and says, like, essentially, you can't do this. And then he says, I'm the way, essentially. Like, no. like, you're not going to hold this anymore. Like, the priests aren't going to control this anymore. That's literally what he's playing into. That whole sequence is built and done both in the book and the movie to be a direct parallel to when Jesus walks into the temple. But yes, that's what he does. He pretty much walks in and takes control. Let's see. The asshole decides to infiltrate the special circle without the talking stick. Paul gives the whole rousing speech about how he's Sand Jesus. Yep. And he will lead them to paradise. Very Jim Jones. It is very Jim Jones, not mindful, not demure. And these poor Sand people believe him, except Dadius, who's like, shakes head, this bitch. Yeah, it's true. Anywho, lottie-dottie, everybody in the outer world thought both Paul and Mommy Issues were dead. Well, psych, Paul sends a letter to the Galaxy President. We don't know exactly what it says, but I imagine it's like, I'm back, bitch, ooga booga. Anyway, Galaxy President comes into Sandworld with his daughter, Florence Pugh, who is also a freaky witch priestess, evil nun, but she's not as blatantly insane as Mommy Issues, so that's nice, I guess. And that's when they strike. Yep. All the sand people surge on the floating golf ball. They also have nukes. They nuke the palace a little too. Lots of murder, blah blah blah. Sand people winning big time. Yeah. Well, they don't nuke the place. They nuke and destroy they nuke and destroy the ridge that protects the city from the sandstorms. And so the sandstorm comes in after they destroy the mountain range and then floods them, essentially makes them open to the sandstorm, and that's how they ride the worms in. So they don't see the worms, assaulting. Lots of murder, blah blah blah. Sand people are winning big time. Paul goes into the golf ball where we have big bad guy, Megamind, Galaxy President, Evil Mother Superior, and Florence Pugh. Did you actually about the exact location of the nukes? I did because it's very important, Ghostly. It's very, very important. The nukes are actually a really important thing in the story here, but we'll come back to that when we loop back around. Yeah, I was like, hey, actually the whole thing. We're gonna get back to the thing you literally want me. You said you wanted me to like explain. The end result is the same. Anyway. So let's see here. Florence Pugh plus some extras. Okay. Paul Merck's big bad guy, no regret energy there. Yep. He actually, it's a good play on the book because in the book, Paul isn't the one to kill the Baron Harkonnen. It's actually Alia. And she does it with the needle, the poison needle from the test, the Gom Jabbar, where they always keep putting to their neck when they put their hand in the box. So I always thought it was a nice little touch that when Paul kills him with the knife, he stabs him with the knife, but where you would with the knife, the thing, the poison dart. I thought that was a nice little touch. Nice little homage to how it happens in the books. You ever created a monster? I don't know what else you thought was gonna happen here. Paul Merck's the big bad guy. Okay, Paul's posse pulls up, acting as the bouncers. Yep. Then there's another duel, this time between Paul and Megamind. But Megamind stabs him a couple times, but Paul's got the worm Kool-Aid in him. And he's just that good now, I guess. Paul stabs Megamind and he dies. Then Paul has a little chit-chat with Galaxy President. Yep, frankly, I do not remember the details because I'm so blinded by rage at what this dumbass does. I mean, he literally says, your father, I killed your father because your father was a man who believed in the power of the heart. And the heart is not meant to lead. Which is a very telling and very, frankly, thematic way to describe the relationship between Leto's handling of power and Paul's handling of power. And where one might argue that Paul failed. But the difference being is that if Paul failed, Paul would have died. And none of this would have happened. Which is not really a justification, but that's part of Paul's rationale. Then there's another duel, and this time Paul and Megamind. Megamind stabs him. Yep, okay. Then Paul, yeah, blah, 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 okay. But pretty much he makes Galaxy President kiss his ring. Yep. He summons it like the worm. He does the foot stamp the way that you would a worm, which I always thought was a really interesting touch. Makes him kiss the ring and lets him live on the condition of the same world that... condition the same world in his, then does the thing. Real deep breath. This fucking guy says he'll take Florence Pugh as his wife, which is 100% a power play of I'm taking your daughter, old man, go suck an egg. I can do whatever I want. I'm Sand Jesus. I mean, yeah, it's in a way it's not that, but that's kind of what it is in a way. But this troglodyte just dumped Zendaya. Zendaya. Did I mention she was standing 10 feet away? I get it, Florence Pugh is Florence Pugh, but Zendaya? What the hell, Paul? I think reducing all of this down to, like, them, like, breaking up, like it's like a high school, like you just dumped Zendaya, is very funny. I love it. What the hell, Paul? No, he doesn't get to have the name Paul anymore. He lost the privilege. This space Hitler asshole will from now on only be known as the little bastard. This is what Ghostly cared about. The genocide I can forgive. Jeez, Ghostly. But betraying Zendaya is beyond unacceptable. Ugh. Oh, that's very funny. The baby boy is dead. The movie ends with Zendaya being real sad, so she grabs herself a sandworm to get the fuck out from that shit show, as we all would like to do, understandably. And then the credits roll, and in the distance you can hear a shout of pure unbridled rage screaming, "You didn't need him, baby girl. You can do so much better than that white boy." And that's Dune Parts 1 and 2. Okay. This was a delight, Ghostly. The things that you focus on in this story are utterly hilarious to me. So funny. That was great. Well, I'm sorry to make you wait 3 weeks, but it was worth it for me to get to read it. That's for sure. I adore this. Thank you for creating this, Ghost, so I don't have to spend 5 hours watching Dune. Well, no. Now hold on. Now hold the phone. Hold the phone. Dune is great. Just because you got a synopsis doesn't mean it's not worth it. You're very welcome. You're a gift to us all, but to me especially. Yes, that's true, Ghostly. Now, in regards to the thing that you wanted me to answer, which is why does Paul go and drink the worm juice? Why does he go and do it? So Paul's whole thing is that Paul nope, I know all the details now. She has explained it perfectly. Got it. Okay, got it. So the reason why Paul is struggling with Paul has the ability to see possible futures, but they're not always, because he's not really the Christoph Haderach. He's not, or at least what the Bene Gesserit were planning. So he sees impressions of possible futures, and they're always kind of like dreamy, or he can't really figure out what they mean. But that's kind of why they always do those flash cuts when he's like about to go into a knife fight. What he's doing is he's like seeing how the fights will go out, like how they'll play out. It's why when he fights Feyd-Rautha, he realizes that the only way that he can defeat Feyd-Rautha is by making Feyd-Rautha think that he won, which is why he gets stabbed as often as he does. Is that he has to essentially commit to that and play a really risky game of like, because if he fucks it up, he's gonna actually die. So his whole thing is managing, how can I do this and not fuck it up completely, and then seeing possible futures of it. So the 100% the reason I made it through the first reason was because I adored him. Then the second movie, I was just like Paul living Sam person life as a little girl, so I was devastated. It's good. It's a tragic. I cry when I watch Dune. For many reasons, but that's one of them, because it's deeply tragic. But the reason why, so Paul is writing this line. So initially, yes, he wants to use the Fremen to try to like work with them to enact revenge on the Harkonnens for killing his father and for their betrayal. But as he kind of sees like his enemy in the Harkonnens, but he also realizes it's probably not the Harkonnens, that it's actually the Emperor that's responsible. And so his need for like justice against his father is not so much against the Harkonnens, but against the Emperor. And getting the Emperor there is for his revenge is very different than just the Harkonnens. But he starts to give up his desire for revenge against the Emperor when he realizes that he's starting to kind of fall in love with the Fremen way of life and kind of their idea of community and who they are and their culture. And they have a common enemy. They want to free their planet from the colonial rule of the Harkonnens. So it's like, so he kind of gets like, I can become one of these people and kind of abandon my old life, and kind of still get to enact in a sense of revenge against, like, you know, the hated house against my family. It's actually why when he does the ring thing and he puts it away and he says, I found my way, Father. That's him denying his birthright. That's him literally throwing away his birthright as a duke to go be with the Fremen and kind of give up the hatred of the past. Also because he's in love with Zendaya. So, but she kind of becomes his way into the culture. Well, her and Stilgar, because Stilgar kind of becomes a pseudo father figure for him. Um, so what snapped him to throw it away? So the thing is that after, if you notice, he shifts when Fade Rotha gets involved and they destroy the siege that Stilgar's in and almost kill Stilgar. And if you notice, he says, "I didn't see it." He kept saying, "I didn't see it. I didn't see it." And that's kind of part of his whole thing, is that he can kind of see the future. And he's starting to like lose that control over those he protects. It's why he has dreams of Chani's death all the time, is because in most futures Chani dies. That's in the books. Like in the books, essentially either Paul dies, Chani dies, or they all die. Essentially, there is no way for him to get to. There's no way for them to really win, except for that is beyond his ability to see, which is his own life and Chani's life, which I say and Chani's life because that's a thing in Dune Messiah. But like, the thing is that because he can't see the future beyond that, he can't see what happens with like colonial struggles and struggles against like oppression is oftentimes the people who struggle, the people who sacrifice their whole lives and a lot of things that they do not ever see the other side of it. The whole point of a protracted struggle against oppression oftentimes is multi-generational. It's a thing that is learned and taught to fight your oppressors because of just how powerful the oppressor is. But there is the other argument, which is using the tools of your enemy against them. And so Paul, because he can't find a way to keep Chani alive, keep himself and the people he loves and Stilgar and all the people of the Siege alive in this protracted struggle, he decides to start using the tools of the oppressor, which is why they bring the nukes into it. They go find the nukes. He uses the ring to get the nuke arsenal. If you notice, that's also when Chani starts to get really uncomfortable, because she's like, why are we using this stuff? Like, we kind of, yeah, we're scrappy, but you know, like we don't know how this works really. And the whole, at least the thesis in Dune is that if you are going to use the tools of your oppression to try to liberate yourselves, if you do that under the guise of if you try to make that happen artificially and very quickly, you run the risk of winding up exactly where you started, or in some cases in a worse spot. And because there's this sort of switch that at any time he can essentially activate, which is, I'm now a religious icon and I will have an entire army, and he sees a way that he can win and try to save everybody he loves, in a way. And so when he goes in the scene after the attack on the siege, when he goes up and communes kind of quote unquote with the ghost of Jamis, and Jamis says a hunter needs to see, he has to get up to the highest dune to be able to see everything. That's when he decides that in order for them to live, or for them to survive in the way that but you have to remember, it's the way that he wants them to survive. Like, he is making a choice for himself, but also an entire culture and group of people. That's where the sort of like even though it's empathetic and you can understand why, like, he's doing it because he loves and cares for people, but he's making that decision for literally an entire group of people. And they don't understand what that decision entails. So they could be like, yeah, do the thing. In fact, he's resisting the fact that there's been so much indoctrination going on because of the Bene Gesserit. He's been having to fight against it. He's been having to like push it back and push it down to try to do it, which is why then when he goes, and that's why that scene is so sad when Chani says we have to go, and he's like, I'm not going to go south, and then he talks to Jamis and says, fine, I'll go do it and do what has to be done. And it's like, because in a weird way he kind of knows that that's the end. That's kind of the end. So and that's why he does what he does. And that's why he says when he's talking to his mom after, and the big reveal that that they're Harkonnens, that Paul himself is from the Harkonnen bloodline as well. Um, that's why he says Chani, she'll come to understand. We don't really know what that means. That's the big deviation in the books. In the books, Chani just kind of is like, all right, man, I guess that's what we're doing. But in the movies, she's clearly against it. Like she rejects Paul's ascension, where in the books, Chani kind of is more indifferent to it in a way. But Chani in the book of Dune suffers from what I call the coolest character ever until she has a kid, and then for whatever reason, probably because it's a male science fiction writer, he's just like, you're a mom now and you're not a character. So in any way, the movies, I actually think, make Chani a way cooler character than the book, which is good because she's a really important character in both the books and the movies. So yeah, yeah. And you needed that audience surrogate, because the thing about Ghostly, the thing to remember is a lot of people read Dune and do not see Paul as a villain. so when they made the movies, and when he wrote Dune Messiah, where he just straight up is Space Hitler, and actually literally brings up Hitler as a comparative in the book, people got really mad at Frank Herbert when he wrote that. But if you read the book, dude, in my opinion, it's very clear that it's a fall story. It's a story of the fall of somebody becoming a tyrant. But a lot of people did not recognize that. So you can see that through Chani, the change in Chani's character was to try to be an audience surrogate, to try to cue audiences into the fact that, hey, like, because he's doing the white, Paul hits all the beats of the white savior story, but the white savior story, and particularly the monomythic model, the Campbellian sort of monomythic model white savior story, mythological superhero story, is that those are so like entrenched in us that we just are almost like predisposed to see those people as heroes, just structurally by the narrative. And so they really tried to do a lot of extra work to show that this is subverting that. And even then people still see this Dune, the movie's Dune, as not being not being Paul being the bad guy, which blows my mind. I don't know how you walk out of that movie not thinking Paul's the bad guy. I thought it was pretty make it pretty clear. So, yeah. Anyway. So I don't know, does that make any sense, Ghostly? Does that help a little bit in terms of like why he made that choice? But yes, Baby Boy is dead. Yeah, Paul. That's literally why the voices, when he's like communing, say the boy must die, the Kritzhoff Haderach will rise. Like they're literally saying Paul, the boy, is going to die. Because he, like, and what is actually happening in World is that he is getting the genetic memory of his entire family line from both sides, from both his mother's and his father's sides, all at once. So he's getting essentially like 10,000 years of lifetimes being shoved into his brain, is what's happening. Because in the Weird Dune universe, you can extract memory from your cells, from cellular memory, from your own, like, from anything that your cells, or at least your gen, you don't want to say genes because it's not actually your genes, but in terms of like your actual DNA structure into the back of thousands of years, that's what it's accessing to create essentially a superhuman supercomputer. I knew he took Florence Pugh for the greater good. It's not in his mind for the greater good. He did it out of necessity. So the Florence Pugh thing is, and that happens in the book too, and Chani's pissed off about it, but she's like, fine, whatever, is that marriages are not about love. Marriages are political arrangements, and the only way that Paul could have access, the only way that Paul can strengthen his claim to becoming the emperor is by marrying Shaddam's daughter. By bridging the house of Atreides and the house of Shaddam. That's the only reason he marries Florence Pugh. Is it's a political marriage. Lady Jessica actually says it earlier when he's like first courting Zendaya, and she says your hand must be reserved for the most like opportune house. That's all the politics of it. That's the only reason it's actually why Paul continually says to her, even though he does everything to prove otherwise, that he will love Chani till the day he dies, which is true. Which is true, unless they change it in the next movie, but that is true. As sad as that is. Is mine, but I was floored. I'm heartbroken. Thanks, Twilight. Okay, just adds up, you know. Yes, because a male science fiction writer, that's apt, especially for when Doom was for you. That true, Cryptid. Yes, yeah. Fuckboys will do that. Does not surprise me. This is why liking Dune could be such a red flag. I always have to ask, but for what reason? Because it's a potential yikes. We need more reading comprehension. Ah, yeah, that's true. I do. I'm glad you figured out that I was definitely quoting Andor for a reason there, because I think Andor is a really great parallel to show you actually the antithesis of what happens in Dune, where it takes large amounts of people and infrastructure and things, and we know that these things are generational. Because oftentimes those fighting revolutions are not the best to lead after a revolution, and that is continually proven by history. Baby Boy is dead. I miss hanging out on a sand world with Oscar Isaac and Duncan. I want that back. Dude, okay. Okay, so let me just before I have babbled so long. It's been like over an hour of Dune talk. And then we'll do like a sprint, and then I'm probably gonna go pass out because I'm tired. You've tuckered me out, Ghostly, talking about Dune, but I love it. But the thing that makes me cry at the end of Dune more than anything is that Paul had a really strong friend, even though Stilgar was just like, "You're the greatest. You're definitely the Mahdi. You're this," but like, even when there wasn't really proof around him being the Mahdi, Stilgar still was kind of like Stilgar was still kind of like a parental and almost like a friendly brotherly figure to Paul. And that the thing that breaks my heart at the very end of that is watching Paul lose one of his best friends and gaining a follower. And there is something so, and the way the movie expresses that is so deeply tragic to me, where you just, because the movie frames it too, where he's so alone in that moment. Like he's just he's alone. Everyone's standing around him. He's just isolated away, and he no longer has any friends. He no longer has any people he can confide in that are outside of his own family. And there is, as incestuous as that is, and that's a political critique right there. But also the time is like, you are just so isolated, and this is how you see figures like this get created. But it doesn't just have to be in terms of politics. It's any kind of power. We see similar phenomena happen with any sort of person who's adored by a society or elevated by a society. They are fundamentally isolated and separated in a way that is so like emotionally bad for us, that it can only ever make a monster of even the most, like, the best hearted person. It's oftentimes when you hear about people being like, "Oh, these celebrities turn into monsters," and it was like, yeah, man, that's what it does to people. Unless you have a really strong support network, which Paul loses because he exploits the only support network that he has. All right, you nerds, I have to... Oh, no, I was only supposed to sit for an hour. I got a housemate say, "Oh, God, Cryptid, thank you so much. Take care. I mean, stream's going to be short today, but take care. Have a good night. I both loved and hated it so much. Yes. So, curse you for plaguing me with this white light. A movie hasn't broken me like that in a long time. And thank you for watching Dune so I don't have to. Cryptid. Have a good night, Cryptid. Well, it's only going to get worse in Dune Messiah. It's going to... I don't say... Well, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how he does Dune Messiah. Because in the book is very contained. Like, the book almost exclusively takes place in the palace, and it's all very claustrophobic, I guess I would say. It's essentially him isolated from literally everybody, losing his mind. I'm sure there's no way you can make that movie after how big Dune 2 was. Like, they're gonna have to put scale and and an epic thing. But I have a feeling his character arc will largely be that. Um, and I have a feeling in that book he is fighting a Fremen resistance that contends of him being the prophet, which I have a feeling is going to be in some way associated with Zendaya's character, with Chani. And I don't know. I'm very curious to see what he does about the kids. I mean, it's very possible. It's possible that she'll just, she has the kids. They're eliminating the one. They have 3 kids in all in the books, and one kid gets killed by the Harkonnens, very early on. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I'll be curious to see, or maybe they'll just do away with the kids at all. So he's gonna step on my heart, lovely. Yes, it's. I'm going to say right now that the way the Dune Messiah and Paul's story ends is very sad. It is very sad. It's an iconic image for me. I hope that I assume he will do it justice, but it's a very Oedipal ending with, and I don't mean Oedipal in the sort of in the incest side of things, but it's a very Oedipal ending. In terms of the tragedy of it. Maybe Ghostly doesn't want to watch that one. It's not. I don't mean incest. I'm not talking about incest. It's the in Oedipus. Sorry, yeah. Like, oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about because I talked about it being Oedipal, because it's similar. It has a lot of similarities to the tragedy of Oedipus Rex. The famous. If you don't know Oedipus Rex, don't worry about it, Ghostly. Don't worry about it. There is incest in that story. It's kind of what it's famous for, but the tragic elements later on are what I'm referring to. Okay, gotcha. So it's a famous Greek. It's a famous Greek play from ancient Greek, from ancient Greece. That has to do with it's one of the first examples we have of like the Greek tragedy, the original tragedy. That's all it is. Oh, good Lord. Well, that was a delight. Well, for everybody who hung out, I appreciate that. I don't. Maybe Ghostly doesn't watch Dune 3. I don't know if my heart can take that. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be. It's gonna fulfill the end of the tragic fall of art. I mean, you already saw the beginning of the tragic fall. You're gonna see it's all it is the end of the tragic fall. So you're gonna. Was it everything I have ever dreamed of? The Dune movies? Yeah. It was good. It was oh, you mean this? Yeah, this was great. Your point of view coming at this story is fascinating to me. So. So I thank you, Ghostly. Yes, yeah, your synopsis, yeah. I loved it. It's very funny. Seeing what you focus on and hyper fixate on is it's so wild. You really you cluing into Jessica. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that. I thought she was. I was like, oh yeah. I mean, I knew what was gonna come, but in a good way. Yes, in a good way, Ghostly. I had a blast reading it. It was a good time. It was an utter delight to read. I think my favorite part is just I think my favorite part is just you fixating that he like just straight up dumped Zendaya for Florence Pugh. It's just I love it. Wasn't it supposed to be obvious that she was? I think it was supposed to be obvious that she had that there were ulterior motives. That's what I thought. I thought that she was someone struggling with multiple. That she was someone who was struggling with multiple allegiances. I guess, yeah, allegiances. I would say. That's kind of what my read of it was always. In the books, maybe it's a little bit more clear, that it's like, because I do think that she loves her son, but also doesn't really understand what to do about him, and sometimes kind of scared of him. She also a bad, yeah. Oh, she was a bad mother, and Ghostly does not tolerate. Yeah, I mean, they're kind of, yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, because she's, does she really love him though? In the book she does. In the book she does. She does care for Paul. Yeah, but like everything, it's like reading old, like your love for your child does not negate the possibility that you might have to organize a coup against them in the future to kill them. like that. Yeah, it's like it's always like a weird like I love you, but it's like that kind of thing, I guess. If she loved her son as a mother, she would not lead him down this path. That's true. Well, yeah, and she goes crazy with the when she drinks the blood of Shai Hulud. Um, she definitely like doubles down on that. But yeah, they do. The movie does kind of lean into the fact that it's that she clearly was trying to create the Christoph Haderach, and that was like that could have been like this sort of like postulating a position, like her attempt to try to like rise to power in that way. So maybe she's a crazy witch nun, first mother fifth. Yes, and that is the problem with the Bene Gesserit. All the Bene Gesserit are like that. All the Bene Gesserit are the crazy. They're all space witches, first and foremost, before they are mothers. Because being a mother to them in a lot of ways is a part of a breeding program. Ghostly came at Dune from an entirely domestic mindset. Yeah, hey, it led you down the right path because you immediately were like, no, not this person, which might not have been the correct way, but that's how we did it. Hey, it worked. Yeah, so you I think you did great. I think you did great. Um, I think you knocked it out of the Ghostly. I hate her. Moment I saw her face. Oh, that's well. It did not lead you astray. I will give you that. It did not lead you astray. All right, where are we at in terms of time? Do we have time? Also, I am trying to see what the plan is here. Okay. Do we want to do a sprint? How does everyone feel? Does everyone want to do a sprint? Or do we just want to like chat about Dune for a little bit longer and then I'm going to go take a nap? I'm going to take a nap either. It's just whether or not everybody wants to do a sprint or not. Her and her stupid British accent. It is very funny that you... Is she really the only one who had a British accent? I think you might be right. I think you might be right. I think she might be the only one with a British accent. That's true. Oscar Isaac did deserve better. Do you? Do you want to do a sprint? I could do a sprint, I think. Yeah. Could I do a sprint? Or do I want to go take a nap? This is what happens. This is what happens with like the fatigue, post flu fatigue. It's like, geez, or post whatever it is. I know, but I've been gone for a month. That's why I'm futzing about it. She was make it make sense. What's best for you? Yeah, all right. We're gonna call it. We're gonna call it. I'm gonna go take a nap and then we'll pick it up this week. Doesn't matter, you fossil. Ghostly, are you in a show? Are you in a show right now? While I figure out the schedule for next week. You are okay. Oh god. Oh, you know what? I probably should do it too because I need to go replace the batteries in my mouse because my mouse is clearly dying. So that actually might be a good reason to postpone or at least cancel and pick up writing sprints next time. Cryptid had mentioned earlier that when I was originally scheduling this week before I got sick, that you might be in a show. So if there was like a weekend stream, which I'm trying to do anyway for Moon Runes, so But I was just checking. Because I know Moon Runes' schedule is generally weekends as well. Okay, well, if you are doing that, yeah, okay, if you're, yeah, on most weekdays, okay. All right, well, then we'll plan on picking up sprints then. We'll plan on picking up sprints later. Well, hold on. Ghostly made the mistake of another show. That's not a mistake. Oh no, don't have regrets. Don't have regrets about that. Yeah, don't have regrets about that. Ugh, yeah. Okay, yeah, I should probably call it because I can actually feel my voice starting to go. Let's see. Okay, you know what we'll do? It's a Lagares, yeah. Let's see here. I have an appointment, so I won't be able to. So we'll probably do. Maybe I'll do a Wednesday stream. I try not to do Wednesday streams. Or maybe just do Friday, Saturday. The problem is I have a bunch of like work stuff I have to deal with early next week, and that's kind of why I'm hesitant to like jump in early next week on streams. Do what you want, man. All right. Well, I'll update in the Discord. About I'll update in the Discord about everything. All right, everybody. Sorry it was a short sprint. Sorry we didn't do or short sprint. We didn't do any sprints. Sorry it if you hope you came for Dune. I should just rename this the Dune stream. But thank you, Ghostly. I adored it. Thank you, and everybody who hung out. Thanks for listening to me chat. We're back. I'm just still kicking the end of this flu. But we should be back this week with we should be back with sprints this week, and hopefully actually get words done because Lord knows I'm behind. All right, love you all. Take care, Ghostly. Have a great rest of your weekend. Everybody who hung out, hope you get the words done, and we will get more writing done next time. I promise. All right, adios, everybody. Take